Because I'm not sure if the Resistance would be the equivalent of the Contras or what, so... That's an obscure...
Once across the bridge, you will see a Rocket Man-type guard. He'll probably spot you and more will come. Quickly move out to the screen to the west. Use the remote-controlled missiles to destroy the panel to the electric floor. In this area, so basically you'll get spotted. You can't avoid it. But then go left instead. And that hopefully will get them off your back.
Hopefully.
So...
But yeah, to get back kind of with the whole DC thing, that's kind of the first problem, is that they're trying to rush into Phase 3 without having any real solid Phase 1 or 2. So they're trying to do the, oh, here's these references, oh, here's this, here's that, even though they haven't established enough of a groundwork to get the audience to care.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that Marvel did establish it. They spent
like the 5+ years to build up all the groundwork.
And most of Wave 1 is Origins, which is what it should be. Like, you have the first Iron Man, you have the first Hulk, you have the first Thor, first Captain America. Yes, you have an Iron Man sequel in there, but the Iron Man sequel helped to establish Black Widow just as much as Thor helped to establish Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would agree.
And it's also that Iron Man 2 also established Nick Fury, because Nick Fury finds Tony Stark when he's in his drunken bender state after literally finding...
Yeah, he takes him to a Dunkin' Donuts. I always love that scene, actually. Like, let me take you to a Dunkin' Donuts, Mr. Iron Man.
That just sounds like an annoyed security guard who just that's like Tony Stark's frustrated driver. Is like, yeah, we're gonna take you to a Dunkin' Donuts, Mr. Stark.
I can't do Samuel L. Jackson. I'm trying.
No one really can. That's the beauty of Samuel L. Jackson, is that no one can really imitate him.
It's one of those things that's also the beauty of like Christopher Walken, because a perfect Christopher Walken impression is really hard to do.
Yep.
Oh, and we have another hostage.
Thanks for saving me. If you have a parachute, you can jump off from the edge of the barrier.
Is there anything that we need to do with that? There is actually a section in this guide that actually says parachuting in the courtyard. So let me double check.
Stock up on ammo.
Oh, it's further down, so we don't need to worry about it. Okay, so the only thing left we can do, Romney, is
brave this rocket.
Brave the bridge, yeah. So, Alex, why don't you give your what was that? I think that was 2 for Romney.
Well,
he's concentrating.
I started on the 1, which was the whole trying to take their time.
Yeah.
The other is bringing in people who actually have respect for the source material, but aren't afraid to do their own thing with it, because that's another problem that we've seen with some filmmakers. Because Zack knows DC, but he doesn't really... I guess the kind of way is that he only seems to understand it on a somewhat superficial level. Of course, it doesn't help when he's drawing from Frank Miller and less from, well... Yeah, because given the kind of comics that...
Oh, crap. Yeah, this is where
forgot,
we're supposed
electrified.
This is where we're supposed to use the remote control missiles. Oh... Okay, well, we learned our lesson now, didn't we?
Yeah. And so, that's kind of the thing, because it's one thing to be able to make a movie, but if it's too faithful to something, it basically, then you're just wondering, well, then what's the point of this? Because it's not adding anything unique. It's not justifying itself as a movie.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I think Warner Brothers just needs to have faith in the property rather than just trying to copy everyone else. They need to let the characters and the stories stand on their own. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing, is that between DC, Harry Potter, trying to compete with Disney with their own fairy tales, that's the biggest problem, is they don't have faith in any of the films they're putting out.
Yeah, they're basically just taking shots in the dark. They're throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping it will stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, except they forgot to boil it.
Yeah.
So it's just shattering.
So, okay. Alex, what's something that you think that they actually need to do to improve the movies that are coming out?
We'll make them better, for one.
Here's a piece of advice: get good.
Get good.
Well, movie making's a lot like Dark Souls. It doesn't get any easier.
That's true. It's true. But it is just find an ambitious filmmaker who can make it something special and make it stand out enough that it doesn't just feel like kind of either a bland copy of Marvel or just something that doesn't click. I don't know how to put it really, but it's one of the reasons I probably never went to go see like Green Lantern. Nothing about it really particularly stood out to me that made me want to go see it. So pick a property that has something that's gonna draw you in a hook. And
The problem with that though is that the two that are going to draw have been done numerous times.
yeah, I get it. With you're talking like Batman and Superman.
Yeah, they're the ones that people know from DC. You actually have to be like a DC fan to go further than that.
Yeah, and that's when you gotta find a way to make you stand out. When you have this obscure hero, right? After all, why did Guardians of the Galaxy do well? Why did Iron Man do well? Why did any other Marvel franchise that probably not many people know about outside of Spider-Man do so well? Because Marvel had a hook, and that's what DC needs. Is they need a hook, and they need to pick an interesting property to do so with. They had the right idea of doing Suicide Squad, but kind of pushing it out too early because
Lie detector. Okay.
we haven't really established anything with these group of characters. But I mean, now that the cat's out of the bag with like Justice League and everything, it's like, okay, then you just got to do this. You got to do Marvel, but you got to do it now in reverse. You got to start. You get all these characters together. Now you got to start introducing them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more the flashback mentality, I guess.
And here's the Hind D! So we need to get out of the way really quick. So this one I actually want to paint a little bit of a scenario for you, Alex. In the NES version of this, it isn't a Hind D helicopter. This is pretty imposing, right? You're fighting a military-grade helicopter.
Right.
I'm not even sure if what I'm doing is doing damage.
Let me double check really quick. In the NES version, they actually replaced this, Alex, with a guy with a turret.
Oh.
So answer me this, Alex. What sounds more epic to you?
Well, obviously the guy with the turret. I mean, come on.
Oh crap. We need a grenade launcher to fire at him. Do we have a grenade launcher?
Nope, just the RC missiles, which was my first thought.
Let me see if I can find where the grenade launcher is. This is where it's going to get interesting. Uh-oh. See, this is why we're having to backtrack a little bit, because there are things that we actually missed.
Okay, so I'll just have to make a break for it and get...
Okay, yeah, the grenade launcher was actually a ways back. So, unfortunately... Let me see if I can find it. Did we find the cardboard box?
Nope.
Okay. This will help then. Okay, so I think it's on the basement, or maybe it's on one of the earlier floors. Quick, Alex, cover for me!
What do you want me to cover?
I don't know. Just keep on going into your DC stuff.
I think that's all I can really say. But
Okay, well, now we know...
That's probably a good idea. Let me figure out where they're supposed to be at.
Okay, let's see.
Building 1, floor 2 may have something that looks like a grenade launcher.
Well, I know there's some doors that I couldn't access because when I got in, there was those 4 people. Maybe it's in maybe in that area. What are those 2 guys doing? They're just...
What it actually looks like is the, we could use key number 2 on the place where we got harassed by Big Boss a lot, with the 2 cameras.
Okay.
Go up. So left. It's okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Wait.
I guess maybe they're not...
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you were going the right direction. Sorry, Romney. The map is a little weird when it comes to that. So go back to the right.
I think I know why they couldn't spawn, because technically if you look, you're in the shadows here. Maybe that's kind of why you weren't noticed.
Epic punching! I love it. They just line up to be punched. They're so polite.
Oh, come on.
There we go. So go down. And wait, what?
I I guess someone
It's
must have,
electrified again?
someone must have come in and fixed it.
Apparently so. Okay, so remote control missile. There we go. So now it's not electrified anymore. This is where it's complicated, people. Complicated Metal Gear.
Just feel sorry for like the guys like, hey, the electrified floor is broken again, Javier.
Could you go in and fix it, please?
We kind of need it.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, and the upper one actually has rations if you need them. He
Well, that was
drops
convenient.
rations.
Yeah, but since I'm at a higher level, I can carry more of them. So let's go and get more food.
Yes, we need as many as we can get, and it's a 2-door. Oh crap! Well, I hate to tell you this, Romney, you're gonna have to backtrack again, because this actually leads to a dead end. Jiminy frackin' Christmas. So yeah, go back up to where you were before I gave you crap, and now I feel bad. Drac feel bad. Honestly, I can't help but agree with you guys. I really do think that they need to have a little bit more passion when it comes to these things. I think they do need to get some more ambitious directors. I think that's why Marvel has worked out so well, because we've gotten directors like James Gunn, and we've gotten the Russo brothers out of these Marvel movies. Shane Black to an extent, because he's done a few of them. I know he's done Iron Man 3, but somebody pointed out he did a second one. Or is doing a second one. So, yeah, getting more ambitious directors, getting people who know the properties, I think helps out. And also, basically, I like your idea of, like, understanding the property, but having the forethought to actually go in and do your homework. I think that's really what needs to happen there. If you're willing to do your homework, then it works. No, go left. And then you're gonna want to go in that door.
Yep, just gotta punch out these peeps. Punchin' peeps. Your marshmallow goodness will not save you now.
Okay, go in there, and then that's the door.
So yeah, the one with the 4 guys in it.
No! Is this the one with the 4 guys?
Yep.
Damn it!
Time to bring out the Uzi.
Yeah, let's kill him. Just kill him dead.
Say hello to my little friend.
Dun, 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 dun. Now I'm glad we got those 4 rations, man.
Oh, come on, really? Fine.
Yeah, just basically make them walk into a slaughterhouse. That's exactly how you do it.
Well,
And with that, we get the suppressor. Damn it!
Well, we're
Not even
still
what
on the
it
right
was.
track, so...
Shane Black is doing Doc Savage.
Oh, there in that room, there is a level 1 door. Oh, Shane Black is doing Doc Savage. That's what it is.
And this be...
Grenade launcher. Okay, so now we have what we need to
Hooray.
take out the Hind D. Yay! We can play video games, Romney. Do you feel happy?
Alright, so now we're back on the right track.
Because at that point, like, the one thing I would actually say of the DC movies is a lot of people like to fault actors and think I fault actors. In a lot of cases, I mean, yeah, I had a problem with Will Smith, but not, was it Margot Robbie who played...
Yeah.
Margot Robbie who played Harley?
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with Harley.
There's the cardboard box.
Oh, so this is a trademark, Alex. The
cardboard box.
Yeah, so you played Brawl, so you know that's a special ability.
Right.
So this will help us camouflage ourselves. And I think we can actually use it for the rocket troopers, but I don't want to check. Because if they're on us, they're on us, and we can't do anything about it. Yeah, get the rations. I really don't want to take chances. Yeah. So, I don't have a problem with Margot Robbie. I didn't really have a whole lot of problems with the actors in Suicide Squad, aside from Will Smith and Jared Leto. And contrary to what people think, I don't have a problem with Henry Cavill. I actually think he works if he's given the right script.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Affleck is Batman. I'm warming up to the idea. I'm not as against it, and at least I'm not against it in the concept of people didn't like Daredevil, because I didn't have a problem with Daredevil. Okay, yes, I had a couple of problems with Daredevil, but they weren't horrible issues. If anything, Michael Clark Duncan is the Kingpin. Not really on board with it, but okay.
There we go.
And I actually make the argument that Colin Farrell as Bullseye makes the movie entertaining on its own. So yeah, Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot. Considering the new Wonder Woman trailer, she's starting to prove her worth to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of the other ones that we have. Jason Momoa, we haven't seen enough of him as Aquaman, but I watched Stargate Atlantis, and he was good in that. So, and in Game of Thrones, now that I think about it. Yeah, he was the one dude that poured searing hot gold onto a guy's head and killed him. Yeah, that happened, people.
It's Game of Thrones.
It's Game of Thrones. Like, the funniest thing is, like, people, or a lot of guys that I know of, they will initially watch Game of Thrones for the boobs, and then they'll realize that there's way more outrage-inducing hyper-violence than there is boobs.
Come for the boobs, stay for the violence.
But sometimes some of them don't.
Well,
like
that.
okay, so this is actually an admission. One of my buddies who is like diehard Mortal Kombat fan loved all of the horrible violence. He loves God of War. He loved all of those moments. He couldn't do Game of Thrones because of how graphic it got.
All right, we're gonna need to find some way to get some grenade ammo now that I think about it, because we're at 0.
Ammo caches on the way.
Let's try exploring maybe some of the other chambers, see if there's some ammo caches, because I realize, oh, well, that's not gonna do very well against the Hind.
On the floor below, there is one. Oh no, you're in the area. So
All right.
if you go left, or actually no, you're gonna.
Well, yeah,
have to
I know how to
anyway.
navigate here because this is the area with the lasers.
Yeah, the room at the very end, if you loop right back up, that'll have an ammo cache, so we can use that. But if I was to actually say that there's one thing that they don't need to improve, I think their casting is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Even Ezra Miller, who I was kind of having doubts about, he's fairly good in the Justice League trailer, so I'm okay with it. So that being said, there is actually another movie-related question that is related to this particular game that we're talking about. How would you two feel about, because we've heard about this numerous times, a Metal Gear Solid movie?
Yeah, it's been in development hell for years, because Avi Arad has been trying to get that off the ground, or at least was before the whole Kojima
But the
incidents.
question is, do we think that it could be done?
Yes and no. I mean, granted, some of the canon has gone a little bit messy, but it would depend on the various approach. I mean, I'd have a way I would approach it, but I'm not sure if it would go down particularly well for a studio, because you could either go one of two ways. You either tell an original story that takes place between 1 and 2, you retell Solid, or you retell Metal Gear. Those would be the options that I think a studio would try to go towards, because those are like the safest bets.
I think, in all honesty, like a good first entry into the Metal Gear movie canon would be to retell Metal Gear, because, in my opinion, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 have probably the simplest plots to instant death. Yeah, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake probably have the simplest plots to adapt. And frankly, Metal Gear 1 is a great way to establish Solid Snake, as long as you get the right actor and things like that. But I don't know, man. There's already a cinematic quality to the Metal Gear series that I don't know if you can necessarily improve on.
Well, and that's why I have like kind of the idea of how I would approach it, where rather than trying to retell any of the games, and kind of aside from the idea of telling an original story, what I would do is try to fill in some of the gaps. I mean, here's kind of how the pitch would go out, is that rather than starting with Solid Snake or Big Boss, we go further back, starting with the boss in World War II.
Yeah.
More or less kind of do a trilogy. The first one is her missions during World War II with the Cobra unit. Second one is her training Jack, who is that's the real name of Big Boss. And then the third film would be a retelling of Snake Eater from the boss's perspective. And that's how I would approach it, because it would fill in a gap of the timeline that Kojima's wanted to explore, but may not necessarily work as a game.
Actually, I don't mind that, following the boss. Especially considering the boss is a really good character, and they haven't really done a whole lot with.
Yeah, because that was initially going to be the idea of Metal Gear Solid 4, was that he wanted to go back during World War II and focus on the boss and the Cobra unit, but then he just changed his mind, decided, nah, let's wrap up Solid's story and just bring that to a close, because each time he's always said that this next game was going to be the last. Like, even as far back as 3, he said it was going to be the last, but kept making more. And so Kojima definitely wants to explore that part of the timeline. It's just...
Oh, crap. I think we actually missed the door to the ammo cache.
Well, we're exploring a little. Let's see what we can find out, see if there's any other objects.
Yeah. If they did, like, an in-between story, I don't think that would be a bad idea.
Yeah, because, I mean, a good example, there's a fan film that Kojima actually liked called Philanthropy. It's done by, I think, it was either French or Italian. It was a group of like fans in French, and I think it was Italy, who did a fan film that is basically just a separate mission that Snake embarks on as part of Philanthropy, which, as people who are familiar with the canon know, is the organization Snake and Otacon start to more or less be the watchdogs keeping a track on the use of Metal Gear in the military.
Yeah, because around that time, Metal Gear's plans leak on the internet, and so everybody's trying to create their own anti-Metal Gear Metal Gears.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a case where you've got...
Yes, Alex, that's what leads to the words anti-Metal Gear, Metal Gear.
Well, yeah, because that's what leads to the tanker mission at the start of Solid 2, is that's Snake, one of Snake's missions as part of Philanthropy, meaning he's got no government backing, it's literally just him and Otacon.
Thus proving my point that the only true escalation from nukes is giant robots.
Or viruses.
Or viruses, yeah.
Honestly, that would be something I would also want to see, is moving away from kind of the Metal Gear robot stuff and maybe try Metal Gear where you're trying to basically keep a virus contained. I mean, we see that a little bit with stuff like Fox Die and the nanomachines, and so just given the current climate, how worried people are about things like I mean, there was the avian flu scare, the swine flu scare, we've got the Zika virus scare currently, and chikungunya.
Be the best way to be able to do it is you couldn't do Metal Gear, because you'd have to CG the crap out of that. Ooh, infrared goggles, we might need that.
The goggles do something.
For them lasers.
Let's see. To discover the location of infrared sensors.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I actually agree with you there. I don't think you should focus on Metal Gear. Instead, go on maybe like some of the side missions that Snake took on in between. Because here's the thing. We're being told in Solid, just how elite a soldier he is. But you're basically, to kind of paint this to Alex, you're told he's like the elite of the elite. He's the cream of the crop the U.S. military has ever created. But he's only been technically on 2 missions that you know of. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, but they make it sound like, oh, he's been on hundreds of missions. That would be a way to be able to do it, is take on one of the other missions that we haven't necessarily heard about.
Yeah, or even kind of tell the story of how Snake got pulled into Foxhound, and not necessarily trying to oh, he was a clone, because the audience, you don't want the audience to know that right away. I mean, yeah, fans know it because...
No, but he got in on his own merits anyway.
Yeah, and that's kind of the idea. So barring a lot of the stuff that's been revealed in the Phantom Pain and so on, you could definitely explore it in case of, okay, just start out with a simple, it's a typical, elite soldiers put on a suicide mission and has to prove himself in order to get into Foxhound, and it practically writes itself, especially if you kind of go in the vein of 80s action thrillers like Escape from New York, which was the major inspiration for the character of Snake in the first place, because the name comes from Snake Plissken.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so go through that door.
Well,
after you take out this guy. Alex, you're kind of the non-Metal Gear fan, so I guess my question is, given the stuff that we've proposed, does that sell you enough to actually go and see a Metal Gear movie?
Yeah, I would see any of those. I think I'd see a Metal Gear movie.
Plenty of knuckle sandwiches around, folks.
I think I'd see a Metal Gear movie, period. I'm intrigued enough by the concept of this franchise that I'd want to see it played out in movie form, if that can somehow work.
Yeah, and to be perfectly, I've actually had people make the argument that we do have a Metal Gear TV series. It's called 24. No,
Not
they really
quite.
don't. One of the allures, at least to me, for Metal Gear is that it's more of a technological wheel instead.
Yeah, and plus
It's talking about like a secret war that's been going on ever since, World War II, the Cold War, things like that, where technology is a lot higher than we think it is.
Yeah, so basically imagine 24 if it was written by Dan Brown would be the best way to describe
roughly.
it. For those of you who don't know, Dan Brown, author of Da Vinci Code, Inferno, basically those movies that Ron Howard directs that stars Tom Hanks that
Is
involves
there an
the church.
Inferno book?
Yeah.
I actually tried to look around for it. I couldn't find it.